message a bunch of people here and see who I can get to come in. Let's see. I'm curious to see who comes in here. Let's just try a bunch of random people and see what happens. Okay. Neverlab says, hi. Lightfoot SRT, how's it going? Oh, Matt Hagan. Matt, did you want to join my live? We're just talking about racing, we're talking about Mopars, we're talking about die-casts. I'm kind of doing this as a little bit of a trial because I want to start doing YouTube lives and interviewing people like you, Matt. That'd be pretty awesome if we get you on the show. And it would just be like basically Mopar, automotive talk, racing talk, talking about my cars, your cars, whatever. Obviously, if we're talking to you, we'd be talking about your racing career, everything you've accomplished. Congratulations, by the way. Scott says, wow, Matt Hagan. Yeah, jump on, Matt. I'd be honored. It'd be so cool. Oh, sometime. Okay, yeah, well, let me know. I mean, hey, if you want to jump on right now for a couple minutes, request me. Otherwise, yeah, for sure. I would love to have you on my YouTube lives. Let's set up a time and see what we can do. That'd be awesome. Scott says, let's go. Yeah, so I was telling people about my ACR earlier, my SRT4 Neon ACR. Kind of souping it up for some drag racing. First time drag racing, I haven't been yet. I've been passenger a few times. Oh, how do you jump on? Okay, hang on. I will request you. Invite to join. I don't think it's gonna, oh. Okay, I think I did it. I think I clicked it too many times. Hey, Matt.
Hey,
How's it going? Wow. I can't believe you actually joined it. That's pretty awesome. All the Mopar people are going to start freaking out.
Oh, that's a good deal. I just got done mowing my grass. It's a little chilly here in Virginia, so but the grass is growing, and I'm only home for a few days before I got to get out to Pomona and get all these chores done and stuff like that. Jump back on a plane again.
It's kind of cold here today too. It's like, hold on, I'm just going to turn this up a little bit. It's like 8. I don't know, like 8-10 degrees. What is that, like probably like 50 or 60 Fahrenheit?
Yeah, it's 50 here, so I mean, it's supposed to be really nice next week.
Around the same. It's super windy here, though.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your next race, or what you're doing, or I don't know. Talk to us.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of started off the season pretty strong, winning Gainesville, and then we really struggled in Phoenix. I mean, I saw a lot of good cars struggling, and it just, for us, we just couldn't get the power pulled back enough to, get down the racetrack. When you start pulling stuff back and you're messing with fuel flows and clutch flows and, obviously the power and everything. So like one thing changes so many things. So it's easy to kind of sit here and tell my crew chief, man, we got to back it up. But it's a lot of things involved to do that, to get these cars to go down some of those tricky racetracks. So really struggled in Phoenix. And, I think that's something that we as a team have to work on with some tricky conditions. We run really, really well when it's cool and it's fast out there. And like Pomona coming up, it's going to be like a high of 65 or something like that. And that'll be really favorable conditions for Dickie and, in our setup, when we always just really, run really well in the beginning of the season and the end, but kind of struggle and fade a little bit in the middle of the season. So I've been pushing real hard to kind of, go to some kind of junk racetracks and, figure out a 390 to a 4 flat tune up that we can just kind of drag this thing up there and go down a dirt road. But that being said, it changes hour to hour, and the variables that these crew chiefs deal with is unbelievable. I mean, there's so much chatter in my ear all the way up until we fire the car up, and they're just making so many calls and so many changes, and sometimes I just want to unplug my headset, but it's unbelievable what they have to do to get these cars to go down the track, and we just couldn't get on top of it in Phoenix, and it's not that our guys didn't try, it's just we just make so much power, and sometimes it's hard to pull all that power that you've been working on over the winter and everything else back to where it kind of runs four flat or dog it up enough to where to just kind of go down through there without putting cylinders out and stuff like that. So, obviously we learned a lot. We never really got right on top of it and we got down the track once, I think. So, we just gonna move on to Pomona and hopefully when it gets a little warmer out, maybe we can drag it over to Indy across the road there and make some laps when it's hot and greasy and try to figure on some of that. I mean, it's not that we can't go down a hot racetrack or a bad racetrack. It's just we don't really, have a great combination of plug and play right now with it.
So has there ever been a time where you've had to change things up right before? Like right before
Oh
you
gosh,
take like
they're
where they're
changing.
telling you something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're telling, I mean, all the way, when I'm sitting there and, right before we go into the water box, they're making clutch calls, they're adding alcohol to it, they're making wing calls, they're making calls on the tire pressure, unlocking levers in the clutch, and, just so much stuff goes into it. And this is like, variables, like we got an idea and a baseline of what they want to go up there and run, but then, as cars are smoking the tires or as cars start to go really fast, they start making some calls that are really last minute. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. Probably, as we're like 3 or 4 pairs back before we run, that they're really making some final decisions to button it up and what they want to do up there on the racetrack.
So have you ever been scared or freaked out just before a run or after a run or in between where you're thinking something's going to go wrong?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you crawl in one of these cars and you don't think something's going to happen to you or they're not going to explode or you're not going to be on fire, you probably have no business being in one. It's like, I'm not a daredevil by no means, but I understand the risk of what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I'm going 300 miles an hour.
it's the
And
name of the game.
yeah, I think that if you don't think that's going to happen and you're not, I opened up my locker the first time when I started at DSR and there was 4 fire suits in there. And I was kind of like, why is there 4 fire suits? And they're like, you're going to be on fire, dude. It's part of the gig, So, it's just one of those things. But I think that if you're scared of it or you don't respect it, it can bite you. You know what I mean? So you kind of got to have a mentality of like, I got the best stuff on. I'm a good driver. I know what to do to get out of these situations and go with it like that. I mean, for me, my first fire was probably my worst fire, and no one can tell you exactly what to do in those situations, and for me, I realize why people jump out of a skyscraper that's on fire. You look at that on the news and you go like, why would someone jump out of that to their
Yeah.
death? And your natural instinct is to get away from that, and my
Mm-hmm.
first fire was probably my first big fire was in Texas, and I was IHRA racing, and I burnt the car to the ground. I mean, it was so hot, it was blistering up my
Mm-hmm.
legs, and I couldn't see where I was at, and I was starting to freak out, and I was taking in all this carbon smoke, and so it was just like the thought went through my mind, like, man, I might die, you know what I mean? And it really
Yeah.
freaked me out, you know what I mean? But then, you have to calm yourself down, and it's kind of like, when you're out there, don't know how to swim and you're drowning, you know what I mean? It's like, you
Yeah.
freak out, it's going to only make it worse. So for me, I really had to like slow down and just, all right, unbuckle yourself and get this, I put it up against the wall and was trying to shave speed off of it. It burned the chutes off of it. And, but in those instances, someone can tell you how bad a fire is and what to do and all this kind of stuff. But until you go through it, you have no
Mm-hmm.
idea, and so me going through that and me, freaking out and then me calming down and getting myself out of that situation and holding my breath and, getting the car stopped. And hell, I was trying to jump out and I didn't even unbuckle myself. You know what I mean? So I was
Oh,
just like, you're just
yeah.
freaking out. And the car was still probably running 150,
Crazy, think
200
of
miles
that.
an hour. I wanted out, and,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so,
yeah.
after you do that, you know what I mean? And you've been through those situations, it kind of prepares you for a lot of the other stuff that has happened in my career. And I've been very fortunate that I've got such a great group of guys around me. They catch a lot of stuff before it ever even goes up there on a starting line. I've seen a lot of guys in my career that go up there and chassis break and you're on fire or something happens. And it's just a lot of times parts and pieces that their crew guys missed. And I've been very blessed that my guys catch a lot of that kind of stuff before it ever goes up to the starting line. And they really do a good job keeping me safe.
Oh, that's awesome. And now you're part of TSR, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I haven't got to meet Tony yet. I've met Leah a few times. I keep missing you every time I'm at SEMA. We were talking about that
yeah.
earlier. I did actually get to go to Pomona last year and check out the museum. And I haven't been to the racetrack yet, but I got to check out the museum. And you were saying about crawling into those cars, and yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't
It was a
imagine
little
doing
smaller back then. I tried to get in one, and when I was at the museum, I was like, no, not for me, you know. But yeah, Tony, working with TSR, you know, I made a switch, you know, from DSR to TSR
it. Hmm.
last year, and you know, I was kind of a little worried about it because I've been with Don Schumacher Racing for, I guess, 13 years plus or whatever, and you know, I always had a ride and everything was good, you know, and you switch over to a new boss and you're not sure how things are going to go and what he expects or what, you know, how he's going to, you know, come in and discipline you if you mess up or anything like that, you know. And Tony has truly been one of the best guys I've ever worked with. I mean, he's the type of guy that you respect what he's done for, you know, in NASCAR and all the stuff that he's done behind the wheel. And you want to win
Hmm.
for the guy, but you also, like, after you win, you just want to drink a beer with the guy because he's just that kind of dude, man. Like,
Yeah,
he
that's
really
cool.
cares about his people. And, you know, I mean, last year we had my car chief, he had a kid, his kid was in ICU, and Tony put him on his plane and flew him home. You know what I mean? He's like, go be with your
Yeah.
family, kind of stuff. You know, so that's the mentality that Tony has, and he's just a really really good guy, man. So it's tough to see, you know, Tony at the track because so many people swarm him. You know what I mean? And he just
Yeah.
wants to be there and enjoy himself. And you know, it's kind of one of those things where you hate to kind of tell people like, hey man, give this guy a break for a second, let him eat his breakfast. You know what I mean? But like, I think a
Yeah.
lot of fans show up and just because they bought a ticket, they feel like they can bark at him and get his autograph and all that kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
I feel for the guy sometimes because he does a good job of making some time to go out there every day and sign autographs and all that kind of stuff. And you know, I'm definitely not famous, but I definitely don't want to be that famous because that's tough to deal with a lot. You know, and
But
you
you
just
are.
can't walk past that.
You are. I mean, people are freaking out right now that I'm live with you, so you're
Well, I'm no
definitely
big
famous.
deal, that's for sure. I know you're a big Mopar, you know,
Yeah.
follower and enthusiast, and I was like, hey, I'll jump on and say hi and see, you know, see how things are going. So, you know, Mopar and Dodge has been so big for me in my career, and you know, it comes back down to the people that support them and stuff like that as well. You know, so I've really learned in my career, it's you know, not so much the corporate sponsors as it is your fans. You know, if your fans rally
Hmm.
behind you and buy the products and do the stuff, then the sponsors are going to stay there. And you know, so I really do appreciate all of our fans that go out here and that, you know, you'll have messages where someone just bought a Hellcat or someone just bought a Demon or you know they'll buy a Scat Pack or whatever, and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know how that translates into, you know, us as far as being able to show Dodge that we help that along, but at the end of the day, it generates sales and it generates, you know, income for us to be able to go out here and do what we do. And but it all comes back down to our fans, you know, and them
Yeah.
really being loyal and being, you know, excited about, you know, the stuff that Dodge and Mobile One and all of our other partners, you know, are doing out there.
But it's become a lifestyle, like it is for me. I mean, I don't even know how many, like five Mopars now.
Oh,
And in the past, I've had, yeah, I mean, I'm an SRT4 Neon freak, so I've got three of those. One's an ACR Stage 2. I've got an SRT8 Super B Charger. So,
heck
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I've had a Viper truck before. I've had lots of cars, and I mean, I won't go anywhere else. I mean, Dodge is my brand for sure. I'd
Yeah.
like to get an old one day, and I was telling everybody that I want to start drag racing slowly with the Neon, and then eventually with the Charger as well.
I'll just start off with the Charger. Might as well go big, right? You know, so
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, if you're gonna do it, go all the way in, you know. But yeah, I'm
yeah,
actually sitting in my Hellcat right now. You know, they hooked me
nice.
up with a Hellcat, but you know, I'm also on the farm, you know, so it's kind of tough, you know. So I got a
On the
Hellcat
farm.
Tango ordered, so I think it'll be a little bit more farm friendly than this Hellcat for me. But I love it. I mean, unfortunately I've already got in trouble a bunch with it, you know, and most of the officers are pretty cool about it. You know, they're like, hey man, you know, like
That's
slow it
hilarious.
down or whatever. But you know, these cars, they just run, right? Like you know, like in my pickup truck, it has to work to go 75, 80 miles an hour, you know, and you hear it working. So you're
Yeah,
like, oh
yeah,
man, I'm
yeah.
pressing it, you know, and this thing is like cruising along at 80 and it don't even feel like it's working, you know, and
I
you know,
know.
like the last guy that pulled me over, I was just like, Brother, I'm just being honest with you, man. Like these cars, they start running and you don't even know how fast you're going. And obviously, I should do a better job paying attention, but it is what it is. And I just, it's one. He was like, absolutely, man. I totally get it. He's like, I was in one the other day, and I was on the interstate, and he said, I looked down, and I was doing 95. He said, so I understand. So I was cool that you run across some guys out there that kind of get it and they give you a break and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I also used to be married to a gal that. My father-in-law was a state trooper, and he told me that you get your breaks at the shop, you don't give any, So that was his motto, So you never
Yeah.
know, It's just kind of one of those things where hopefully the Durango I won't be zipping around as much as I am in this Hellcat here.
Are you going to get any of the last call models? I mean, obviously you just saw the Demon 170 was unveiled.
Yeah, so my dad actually, we own a bunch of dealerships. He does, not me. But he's got allocated for one, and I think he's just going to keep it and sit on it. He
Which
feels
one
like
is he going to get? He's getting the Demon?
yeah, the Demon.
Okay.
And so he feels like if he sits on it 5-8 years, something like that, it'll be worth over 300 grand or something like that. So I think it just really depends on how this electric stuff goes. I mean, it might be a hit, it might be a flop. I mean, I think you got to throw it out there and see what happens, and then sometimes that just all depends on who's in office as well. You know what I mean? And the push for some of that stuff. So obviously for me, I like the old school stuff, and I hope it stays that way. But at the end of the day, you got to kind of with whatever our manufacturers are doing, I got to stand behind it, and
yeah.
I just don't hope. I hope we can say everything nitro. You know what I mean? Like that's key for me.
Well, that Demon 170 is pretty crazy. What it's pushing, and it's street legal. So yeah, that's gonna be pretty nuts. Can you imagine seeing those on the road everywhere? Oh my god. Oh, I think I'm losing you there.
Sorry.
Oh,
you got me now?
okay,
Yeah, sorry. My dad was calling. Was trying to call again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Do you want me to let you go? Do you need
I'm back here in just a second, but yeah, I can stay on for just a minute or two more.
Yeah, so funny story, you were talking about tickets. So the first time I got when I got my Super B, I was going out to a meet because I'm president of Canadian Mopar Club. So I organized a meet. I went and picked up my car, and I'm driving on the highway, and of course, sirens. I get pulled over.
Oh no!
And yeah, so then I start, and I'm going. I think I was going so we're kilometers per hour, right? So I was going enough over the speed limit that they would impound my car and take it for a week. I didn't even realize it. Honestly, I didn't even realize it. So they said that to me. They're like, okay, we're going to take your car. What's going on? So I started talking to them about the car, and I'm like, yeah, I just got it. And they're like, yeah, it's really nice. So they let me go, gave me a ticket. But yeah, that's a funny story. The first time I drove the car, I got a ticket.
That's crazy. That's one you'll remember for sure,
Yeah, it's not supercharged, but she's got some get up and go for sure.
Yeah, for sure. That's for sure.
It's around 500 horsepower. Yours is obviously a lot more than that, 707 or more. No, the new ones are more than that now.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, but they give you two keys, the red and the black one. And they said, what you do with the black one, you throw it away, right?
It's the valet key.
Yeah.
Actually, I wouldn't even let somebody valet my car. My God, that'd be terrible.
Yeah. So we're excited to get to Pomona this weekend coming up. I'm home for a few more days, just trying to run around and get some stuff done and get all these cattle fed. And it's greening up out here, so I'm actually excited that we're not having to do as much on the farm. Just kind of get some crops in the ground and get going. But it just the beginning of the season is always crazy. Just some of this back-to-back stuff like that, and but I've been waiting. We've had the longest off season that we've had forever, in my career, and it seemed like it was an eternity. So it's been great to get back and hit the pedal for a while and go 300 miles an hour, and hopefully we can turn on a few more wind lights here in Pomona. But there's a lot of tough cars out there, and I know a lot of guys are ironing out their combination, and there's it's just going to be really, really tough and funny car this year. So I think that if everybody's looking for a good battle, definitely keep an eye on funny car.
Oh, for sure. We'll all be watching. Definitely.
Okay. Well, I got to run, but thanks for having me on the show, and I'll check everything out.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, we'll get you on the YouTube Live next.
Okay, there you go. Sounds good. See you.
Thanks. See you later. Thanks for coming on. Oh my God, that was awesome. Can't believe we had him on the show. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to archive this one for sure. Wow, that was one for the books. I did have a couple questions that popped up, but I wasn't able to get them. My ear trailer in the freeway. What does that mean?